All right, folks, this is Ghost Rider, server 48. I got a friend request the other day, yesterday actually, from a player that wanted to learn more about the game. And he had some questions in his server. There's a bit of confusion about how things work, and so we went through it, and one of the questions he asked me was about scout reports and how someone can know what to send, this, that, and the other. So I was going to go in and see if I have any scouting reports that are going to work. And then there was other discussion about defense and how the mechanics work. So if you don't really understand how the mechanics work, or you've just gone off what someone else has told you, you're putting yourself to a point where you're really ineffective, because if you don't know how the dynamics work, then you're not even really going to be able to play the game efficiently. So, with that being said, I'm going to go back a long ways here. And the reason that I am is to show, because there was some discussion about T11 siege or small siege, and the discussion was, and this is in a newer server, the discussion was that, well, T11s hit T11s and down, and that isn't how it works. T11s will hit your high tier siege. That's why you do T11, is for the point exchange, because they're going to hit high tiers. You're just sacrificing low tier stuff. So that's the whole point of it. Now let me see. I think this was the one. No, it's not. Because I'm looking for a certain report, and in this report, I was hit with small siege first, and I think it'll be right here. So, no, it won't. Here it is. So, this right here, no rain. Normally I wouldn't even worry about that, but they filled a good rally, and you'll see this is a T11 siege. And let's go back, and we look at the T11 siege, and it completely messed me up. If you look at this report, this isn't even close, because it's they lost 2.1, I lost 2.6, and it was small siege, so we know it was like way, way worse than that. And the second one was a big siege, and that one was positive, about 1.1 bill. And then let's go into the battle details. I don't believe that I healed. I did not. So when they went for the second one, this was a double. This was both on one. Small and big siege all at the same time. Let's go back. So there was 49 million with 3561, which this was a while back. So like the buffs today would be a lot better than that. But when we go back and look, let's see what engaged. So they got my 13s and they got my 12s and some of my 11s. And what did the killing? So mainly the 12s. 12s and 13s did 36 million. 11s did 4, so that we're at 40 million there. And we look at the 10s and 9s, and there's 4 million 4 million there. So let's go back to the original and we'll look a little closer. So this was a small siege. Let's go into battle details. So what did the small siege kill? It killed all my 15s. It killed all my 14s. And it killed some of my 13s. And 12s. So with that being said, the whole point of it is that, yes, small siege is going to kill big siege. Highest tier on down. So that kind of covers that. And in the game, I am more geared towards siege. My siege general is my best PvP general. Defensively, siege is the strength of my city. King Sing was the original kind of groundbreaking Evony player as far as siege goes. He understood the T11 mechanics. He understood big siege. He understood pretty much everything. Now, I want to see some reports if I have some scouts. So actually, let me go into Battlefield, because the big part of this was, how do you know what to hit with? So, or reading a report. So, as I look for one, we'll keep it real simple. So what you're going to do, you scout, and then you're going to see what they have. Now they've got, if it's like, let's say a 15 to 20 billion power keep, and they've got high tier siege, that is what you would target. And as long as it's a reasonable target, you can go after him with small siege. So let's just look at this one. He's 8.6 bill, and we see T14 siege, T13. So with that being said, you'd small siege and you probably clear the 14s, 13s, and 12s as long as it's 30 million or higher. And then from there you can go and siege again, which I'm a rally filler, so I'm not super versed. I just know if I see a trap that has built too much siege, I'll do a small. And lots of times I'll go back with a big after the fact, or you can go vice versa. But for point exchange, I would definitely say small. And he's got a lot of siege, but I think this keep is built as a traditional big keep. So here's the idea. As far as what you would do, you'd hit with siege, right? And you're going to clear, hopefully, the siege all the way down to 12. Let's say it's a rally, so you're going to clear the siege down to 12. You may go beyond that. And then you run another siege, probably a big siege, to try to clear the siege. So let's just say you've done that, the siege is gone. So what's the next thing? You can't send ground because his cav is going to trample your ground. So you can't do cav because he still has archers, unless the siege did well enough, because siege is really effective at killing archers. So that being said, let's say the archers are still there. So you could send, and with this one, there's not a lot of high tier ground. So with that being said, I would probably do archers, and that is probably going to clear the cav. And we go down at the bottom. You always want to see how many low tier cav they have, and he's got 365 million, which is significant, but you'd probably be all right to send the arch. or do another siege and try to clear all the archers. But the idea with sending the archer is you do 2 in 1, so you clear the horses, and then most likely you'd clear the archers if you manage to clear the horses without the ground stopping you. And then once the horses are gone, then of course you just send a big ground rally, and that should clear. So that's the story behind, what do I send? Because we can look at troop buff, and the ground is fairly weak. The siege is okay. The archer is okay. HP across the board's not super great. Defense is not super great. So with that being said, that is probably the way I would handle it. I would do small siege, big siege. Take a look and see what it does. Or you could set up small siege, big siege, archer, ground, and send as you deem necessary. I keep this size. I really don't think that he would live past our archer. So there's that. But yeah, that's my take on that. And then of course, like battle reports. People still ask questions. This is where it's at. Use your battle reports to tell you what you need and where you need to get better. So I'm going to just go into my last PvP, which would have been SVS, which we won handily. These guys are really good. I don't know, but in their alliance info, it said that they were 6-time Shalon's champs, which could very well be. We had a big lead. Towards the end, they took some cracks at me and other players. That was a solo. That was just foolish. So we go to the rallies, which I think is right here. Yeah, so the first one was, let's look at what they sent. First one was Big Siege. And this one was fairly close, right? So 2.9, 2.9. Another, let's just say 300. So let's say a 3.2 versus a 2.9, 2.4. 2.2 versus 2.4. So 200 million positive. And let's see. So okay, it's going to be obvious when we look at the numbers what is going on here, but the siege was in reinforcement and or hidden on the high end, and they cleared quite nicely. They cleared down to the 13s and dug into the 12s a little bit. Let's see what my lower tiers did. The T11s killed 3.3. T10s didn't kill anything. T9s did a pretty good job for a low tier siege. So that was the first one. And then we go to the second one. And this one was siege as well. And at this point, it's going to be rough, right? Because the high tier siege is gone. And you're going siege again. And then I'm pretty sure, based on the power exchange, that this was high tier siege again. And it was. So let's look at what I had left. Just the survival. So the 15s cleared. The 14s are already gone. The 13s are already gone. The 12s. So we look at the 12s. So basically, like, it cleared the 15s I had left, and it cleared a majority of the T12s. And lots of kills there. 12 million kills there. My Cav killed a fair amount. And then the T11 siege killed 6 million. T10 siege did next to nothing. T9 did next to nothing. T8 did next to nothing. And that was probably due to the rains. because I had a lot of rains. I had a lot of rains in there. So there, like once your high tier siege is gone, as long as your low tier siege is buffed in some manner, uh, they're not going to do well sending a second siege. And I had a lot of rain. I mean, I had 39 million rains. And then we go to the arch, and, you know, I'll just round it up, 1.4 billion versus 3.2 billion. 24 million rains. Let's just take a look and see what the rains were. Ground, siege. So yeah, probably a fair amount of these were siege and or ground, because that's generally what people will do. But now let's go into the battle detail. Let's see, how did my cav do? 14's cleared, which we would expect. 13's cleared, which we would expect, and then the 12's not cleared. My siege killed a fair amount. My ground killed a lot as well. So what we want to look at the siege. What did the siege do? Because siege has a much further range. So the siege, ideally you want the siege to end the archer rally before it really begins. In this case, you know, you look at my T10s and T9s, that's 6 million right there. And then the T8s did next to nothing. So as far as the wounded, they wounded some of my 3s. They wounded some of my 2s. They wounded some of my 1s, not many. But look at the ground. The ground engage. Of course, the ground engages. But with your low tiers, you can kind of limit the wounded up on the top. So this is what you do. Like, always go in. And I've covered this before. Like, I've discussed this at length before. But always go in and see what your troops are doing. And then, like, looking at this, I could say, okay, well, I could consider doing more HP percentages on cav. So there's that. But you look, my cav, even some of the higher tier, like, did kill a fair amount. Not the ones that just got wiped out, but like the 12s, which is where the rally ended, they killed 2.5. T11 killed 3.8. T10 1.7. So this is your litmus test. This is what you're going to look for as far as what is doing what in your city, where you need to add buffs or debuff depending on the situation. And I think the buffs were pretty good. 4,200. It's pretty good archer attack. But I want to just touch on this real quick and just put out there, this is what you're going to look for in a scouting report. If they're kind of siege heavy, you're going to do that and go for the point exchange. And then you're either going to try to work through the siege tiers and possibly get the archer, or, you know, it's something that you discuss as a team, what your theology on how you're going to run rallies is. And, you know, with good alliances, archer's going to be a lot of clears in most situations because you're going to have high attack, high HP. But hopefully this was at least informative enough for people to understand how looking at battle reports work, understand what looking at scouting reports and what you're looking for. And also the mechanic on the siege. Siege will fight siege head on, and but they mainly target archer is what they will try to target if possible. But if they're engaged by other siege, then it's going to be siege on siege. Once the siege is gone, they're going to go straight for the archers. And T11 siege will hit high tiers as well. It doesn't hit T11 and down. It doesn't work that way. So with that being said, you know, hopefully this was answered some questions and was moderately informative. And then, of course, as far as your PvP goes, I would recommend go for attack first and then HP. And, you know, in the general attributes, I would go for attack first. And then with HP, get it as good as you can. And then compensate it through whatever, Beast Seals, Senate, advanced refining, stuff like that. But that's my take on this specific subject that was brought to me. And this guy, he just felt free and added me as a friend in the game. Found my keep, added me as a friend. I added him to my Discord. And the whole idea of the videos that I put up is learning and teaching the game. I've accomplished a fair amount. I'm not by any means the greatest player in the game, not even close. And you'll never hear me say that I am. But with that being said, like, always feel free to ask any player questions. And you know what, if it's a big player and he thinks he's too important to answer your questions, and you don't want to get your info from him anyway, because he's not going to have a great understanding of the game, because if he's that big, it's not as important for him to glean everything you possibly can from buffs and this, that, and the other. So, you know, a middle-of-the-road player that has to be solid and has to be really smart in the game, those players know a lot, and they've seen it all. They understand reports, they understand scouting reports, they understand the dynamics of the battle. So find yourself a solid player that has to be at the top of his game to survive and be successful, and that's going to be a good person to help teach you the game. Anyway, I hope that you found this video informative, and I am going to call this a video.